Most of us do not encounter too many naked people. On the other hand, when I see how much second-hand clothing we donate to Goodwill and St. Vincent de Paul, I'm not sure that we are all that conscious of what clothing the naked in the name of the Lord means. What I do know from my life in Toronto is that there is another form of nakedness which we often overlook. It is called homelessness. And it is often the life led by people with mental health and addictions problems. People who live on the street can sometimes be frightening to us. They may be dirty and unkempt, their behaviors may sometimes seem erratic, and they often have addiction problems. Nonetheless, when I join in the Out of the Cold program at St. Patrick's Parish in Toronto, which serves meals for the homeless and poor, as well as provide a warm place to sleep for a night, I am always struck by the politeness, gratitude, and gentle humanity of these so-called street people. So, in the name of Jesus, who told us we are to clothe him when he is naked, I want to make the following points. First, do not stereotype street people. Do not think of them as dangerous or crazy. They are usually people who are down on their luck. Many suffer from addictions, and many also from mental health problems, which make it almost impossible for them to function in our high-stress, high-tech world. Second, often what is needed is a friendly greeting, a moment of person-to-person contact. They do not need condescension or pity. They might need help for a meal, but do not worry about their homelessness. There are organizations who will help if the individual wants to get off the street. Most of the rest of us have no idea how to deal with that problem. Third, the mental health problems that afflict some street people do not mean that these people cannot function. They are often amazing in their ability to survive on very tough streets. But they may relate differently, for example with suspicion or muttering to themselves. Let them be. We do not need to offer advice, much less think that we can bring them a cure. Fourth, we can always bring healing rather than hurt. Healing comes from treating these people like human beings. Too often we can become frightened and respond in ways that hurt them. But there is no justification in hurting one of these little ones of God. In Jesus, they are our brothers and sisters, even if we do not know how to help them in a substantial way. And finally, I would like to add a word about mental health in general and how much of a stigma there is in our society about problems afflicting the human mind. If a person breaks a leg, we offer sympathy. If a person has something wrong with his or her brain, we grow frightened because we cannot see, much less fix the problem. Nonetheless, the human mind depends upon the material of the human brain, and things can go as wrong there as in any other part of the body. How we react to persons with mental health issues or to their families will reveal whether or not we are able to see them in their brokenness as brothers and sisters in need of healing, not problems that need to be fixed or dismissed out of hand or scorned or mocked and teased, or hidden away because families and others are embarrassed. Jesus tells us, "When I was ill, you visited me." Let's not limit these words to physical ailments. Let us remember that some of the most isolated people in our world are people with mental health issues. And I include here their families who care for them, who live with the stigma around mental health. Stigma, however, is nothing more than the fearful behavior of others, and that is something that is less than that expected of a Christian. We all have a lot to learn when it comes to imitating Christ. And so, when Jesus says to us, "When I was naked, you clothed me," I would invite you to think of those who are made vulnerable because of problems with their brains. And I invite you to discover ways in which you can recognize Jesus in them and treat them as fairly and as normally as you can. We may need to invite them to be our teachers, to ask them, for example, if there are things that we say or do which are not sensitive or genuine. When they trust us enough, which means that when they recognize that our hearts are in the right place and we are trying, Perhaps they will teach us how to be brothers and sisters who share their lives, rather than frightened outsiders who do not understand that we need healing as much as they do. Think perhaps in terms of hospitality rather than hostility or indifference. And perhaps the Eucharist will come to mind, the meal of unity for all God's children. And then perhaps we will hear Jesus say, "When I was confused, you did not abandon me."